Hey Drew,
Hey Derek, how are you?
doing great, man. How are you?
Awesome. Doing well.
Thank you.
Well, thanks so much for all your emails. I agree with
Yeah,
you. We need to update our docs and everything else with
yeah,
videos. So it's super helpful to understand what you're running into and happy to help. Based on your emails, I'm going to be actually updating a bunch of our YouTube and Loom section of the new UI as well. So
awesome,
you should see that soon.
awesome. That'll help a bunch.
Great. And then are you okay if we record this?
Yeah,
And
yeah, sure, sure.
awesome. Great. So I would love to understand a little bit more about you. What are you trying to build, and then get into some tips and maybe a quick walkthrough of some of the things and how it
Yeah,
actually doing.
yeah. I'm a helicopter pilot out here, and I wanted to build something like um, not something like a for flight where it has like weather and radar and stuff like that, but like an easy thing where a pilot can log into a portal or something and have a calendar, and you'll see all this on the walkthrough. A calendar for them to add a flight and things like that when they do have students for CFIs or for just a student pilot that wants to log in and track their flights. A flight tracker like a logbook, an electronic logbook keeps their time. Where you can export it to a CSV file or something like that and just log into a portal where they can see their flight hours, see how many flights they did that month, and have like a checklist of things that they need, because like I do that for my students now, but it'd be cool for the student to actually log into his thing and then look at what endorsement he needs, when it's coming up, blah blah blah. um and then some weather for their home airport. They can log on to it, look at their home airport, what the weather's looking like before their flights,
Cool.
and then go from there, like build it out from there. But like that's kind of like a phase one type of thing. I think that'd be like maybe an MVP there, something there to where you could get users, and I can do like a student is free, pilot private pilot is $20 a month, whatever. This is just making up stuff. Commercial pilot, you're $50 a month, and you get more advanced things as it gets built up. But
Perfect.
just to build that.
Perfect. So let's help get the core app debugged. For the Stripe part, like the Pro and everything else, we have actually a beta. You can do it today in Create. It's just hard with getting all the functions and everything else right. So
Right.
we've got a manual way we can add it to your project to help you do it. And then over time, we're working right now internally on just making that built into Create. So it's super easy to start adding payments and the rest of it. But why
Nice.
don't you share your project, and then if you can, send me the build link, and just walk me through some of the issues you're running into, and I'm happy to give some thoughts.
Sure. Let's see. All right. Can you see that?
Yeah,
All
great.
right.
Wow,
So
it's beautiful.
yeah, so this is the software that I got so far. So I have a left nav bar.
Yeah.
This looks like a card of FAA license of a pilot. I
Derek,
just
could
put
you
it.
send me the build link as well, real quick, just so I
Oh
can pull it
yes,
up on my side?
yeah, yeah. Sorry.
And just so you know, these build links are usually private, meaning like no one else can. So the build link is just the URL of your builder,
Ah,
right? The build links are private, so if you share these anywhere else, usually someone has to be in your team, and if you can just drop it in the Zoom chat, that works. Um, Usually someone has to be in your team in order to access it, but as an admin, I can jump in with your permission and then pull it up on.
yeah,
Yeah,
awesome.
cool,
Let's see if you got that. Yep. All
awesome,
right. Yeah.
great.
I think it's sharing. You are sharing your screen, so you can still see my screen.
Yep, I can see it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's basically the FAA license right there, but it's all coming from the pilot profile that I built, right?
Yep,
So when it puts in all this stuff, it goes here. That's their stuff. That's the flight hours that they did for the month. That's their flights taken, built from the My Flight Calendar, which
yep,
here, and you can go in and edit the flight and stuff like that, route, time, whatever, aircraft, and you can add a flight there as well. Training. I have a few issues with this because I can't build it responsive kind of, because I did it from what I know right now is I built this all from like these components. So I put all of
yep,
the like a Netflix style training. That's what I think that's what it named it, because that's how I explained it to it. But it looks like this in here, and then like see, and as you go further in and out, like it does go kind of responsive, but it still has like spaces and stuff like that. And
Okay.
I don't know like how it really looks when I go to publish it and I go to a live site where it's actually taking up the whole screen and the left nav bar is where the chat is.
Yep.
It's all messed up. So I don't know how to do that quite yet. And I know that's a probably a feature that is probably very trivial in here and very doable, but I don't know how to explain it. So I may need help on prompts
Okay.
and how to do that. That's just one of the, you know, the things that I was having trouble with.
Yeah. What else? And then you also had some issues with the date picker and the input. Were you able to solve those with it
Yeah.
telling?
Yeah. So I ended up just changing that up. And that was a part of the pilot profile. So that was just the birth date. If you're under 40, it's 6 year or 5 years expiration date. And if you're over 40, it's 2 years or whatever. And I wanted to put it in here to pick the birth date. And then if it's a class three and your issue date is this, then it would calculate the last day of that issue date month. So the expiration date would be 1/31/29, 5 years later.
Yep.
Couldn't really get that through to the chat and it was doing it, but it was doing it off by 1 month and stuff like that and everything. So I just decided to do it this way and just tell them, hey, it expires in 60 months on the last day of the issue month. And I did that based off of if you put in anything past 40, if you're 1974, then it'll change. You know, it like see it change to 24 months. So, and then I set them for all of the classes. Like in class two, medical expires in 12 months if you're over 40. And then if it's, you know, under 40, it's going to be 24 months, stuff like that. So, but I figured it out and it just wasn't like when I would press two, this would say one. And I would press one and it would go to 131 and it would just be off by 1 day. And I don't know what that was, but it stopped doing it for some reason. I guess I did it so many times that it probably fixed itself.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, so that was it for that, you know.
Okay. Cool. Just want to make sure that the date issue got solved. Yeah, in the
Yes.
prompting, it looked like an off by one error. So somewhere it was adding or subtracting a date. And so I could show you how to do a little bit. Is it okay in the calendar view as well now that when you were going to that?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
like I can do this. Like I think I tried it the 15th. I'll do it to the 12th, put it to any time, and it should go to the 12th.
Okay.
Yeah. See, so
So
it doesn't go off by a date there.
what should we tackle today?
Um, really, I have that. Really the responsiveness is really what I wanted to get handled because I don't know how like because all this right here is up to the chat is all responsive, but when I go to my live view, it might be a little different.
Okay. Let me
So
go ahead and
see,
help
that's the live view. So now everything's a little bit more
spread
out.
out.
Yeah, so like I try to build it, but I'm building it with a chat. So if it's like almost like if the chat were like its own tab or something like that's not a part of the thing. I could build it like this and have the chat floating where I can make it to where I can build it how I'm gonna see it, right?
Yep. Okay, cool. So let me help you on some of the responsiveness
Sure.
pieces. What's the biggest one? Is it so just point out the issues and I'm happy to show you how to get them.
Um, really it's the
Or you can do it in the live site too.
okay. Yeah. So it's really this training. When I go to the section, it has these spaces and stuff. And then I don't know how to pass data from one thing to the next. So I don't know how to send this because when I made it, they're all connected to the same div, it looks like when I press it, you know, in build and select mode.
Yep.
Um, like it'll like I set this up to click, like I click and it goes to a video, but that's not any other page.
Okay.
That's just what it was. And then the back stuff works. But into this, like when I click on select, I can select this div if it works right now. Yeah, so it works and I can do link and then choose a
And,
page,
and
whatever.
how should the behavior work for this? So you want basically the quizzes or the airplanes to go to their own pages and then those pages to load the data for those selectors. Is that right?
Right. So training videos, like if I press helicopter, it goes to helicopter training video lot like lot the this library, and then they would have one for airplane training and have airplane stuff.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And then is there anything else? And then the gaps on the responsiveness. And then what about these quizzes? Are they working right?
The quizzes I haven't tackled yet,
Okay.
but yeah, when I do it, I would want it to start the quiz and go to another section or page and then start the quiz.
Okay. Let's go ahead and tackle the responsiveness issues. And then I will actually go ahead and share my screen.
Sure.
And we can start. So I pulled up your project here. And let me just quickly figure out how this stuff is implemented. So real fast, you can switch between focus mode and non-focus mode by just hitting this button at the top. Sometimes I find when the project gets big, it's a little faster to just quickly visually jump around and see what's going on. The other way you can do this is by just clicking on the dashboard. And so we'll go to Netflix style training, right? Do you mind if I rename this real quick?
Yes, yes, you
Okay,
can. I'm
cool.
not, so you want me to stop sharing my screen so you can share yours?
Yeah, I'm sharing mine. So can you see it? Can you see my screen?
No. Let's see.
Oh,
Stop
okay.
sharing.
So if you stop sharing yours, you should probably
Yep.
see. Yeah, got it?
Uh, no, not yet. I just see you.
Oh,
Oh,
interesting.
wait, wait. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Got it.
All right, perfect. So you're logged in. So just a quick overview of like what people, what I was kind of showing was like, if you have a large project, you can always click this button to kind of be zoomed in. You can click this
Gotcha.
button to kind of be on a canvas zoomed out, which kind of helps for
Gotcha.
jumping around. For naming, these aren't public facing names. They're just mainly names to help you. So I see you're actually doing this as a component. Is there a reason you made this one a component?
Yes, because I thought that was the right thing to do at that moment.
Okay, got it. So this, are you gonna want to have this hosted at a route, like slash something people can go to as a page?
Yeah, like whatever.com backslash training or
Yep.
helicopter dash training.
Cool. So let's go ahead and name this aviation training. Right. And the main reason you use a page versus a component is components are good for like little UI elements. So like, for example, getting all of these cards to be work the exact same way. That's good use for it. Or like the cards look very similar. They're always like an icon, title, and then the same UI. So components are good for that because you can basically define one component that then ends up being used for all of these different things with different arguments.
Okay.
Pages are good for things you want to route to. If you accidentally made something a component, right? This is a component and you want it to be a page instead. One quick way to do this is to actually just go ahead and grab the code. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this and say, let me go ahead and make this a new page. You can make a new page from this top logo menu or just by hitting Option N, right? And I'll go ahead and make this a new page. Um, Make me a training page. I already have some code for it, except instead of a component, let's make it a page. I'll paste that in, and it should just do a good job of guessing how you actually want to
Yeah.
go ahead and make this a page. In
Yeah.
the meantime, while we're waiting for that to finish, let's go ahead and look at this responsiveness issue. So it seems like you have independent things. We have a switcher real quick here, so you can switch between mobile view and on desktop view. We do have a way, sorry, we've changed around the UI a little bit. We used to have a way to go ahead and see these pages without the sidebar just from the builder real quick.
Okay.
But I think we got rid of it in our just most latest UI thing. We will bring that back without any Chrome. But you can also go to this preview if you don't want to publish yet and very
Okay.
quickly see like from the page a preview of what's happening. And so I see this is the issue and these are these gaps. One heads up is like often what Create can do a really good job of is just if you give it a screenshot. So on Mac, I just press Command Shift 4, right?
Yep.
Took a screenshot. And sometimes this will just get it. So when I'm clicked into the component page, I'll just say, Responsiveness is a little strange on uh, wider view screens like desktop and tablet. It looks good on mobile. Here's what I'm seeing. And I'll say there's too much of a gap between the cards. Instead, I'd rather have the cards take full space with a tiny gap. Maybe, I don't know, 12 pixels
Sure.
max, right?
Yep.
Um, and then we can start there. But when you give it the screenshot and then you also explain the issue a little bit more specifically, Create is pretty good at then figuring out what you're talking
Yeah.
about. So here it's now going to start to do this. So it's going to update some changes. While we're doing this, let's go ahead and go back to the page we created and just check in on that and make sure that that actually was fine.
And that was another thing. Like I saw at one point when before I knew about components, I had like 1,500 lines of code and it was taking forever. And I was like, I figured it out. I was like, man, I read some of your help guides and stuff like that. And it said if you want to break down the code, that's why I thought I had to make kind of everything a component so that I can use the component not just for UI, but for actual functionality.
Yeah, so that is one big tip. So let me show you why components actually kind of matter in that and when it comes to big things. So this is now the new page. It did a good job of replicating it.
Yes, it did.
If you look at the code, right, and really are making Create to not look at the code, but sometimes it kind of helps understand why this is the case. When you
Hmm.
look at this, uh, here actually you're using components, right? So it's kind of cool, but you'll see that it just uses training card
Hmm.
and then like it passes in some arguments. And so this is actually saving you a lot of lines of code, right? Because before you actually made it a training card, in addition to just the arguments, it probably also had to describe all of the UI for each training card, which
Gotcha.
really saves you a lot of code. It also makes things like locked, so
Yeah.
so
Yep.
things basically don't change how you want, right? I'll take a quick look at this in a second, but so this is this page. Let's just go ahead and see if this did a better job with the gaps. It did. So you'll see that we fixed that issue in the responsiveness just by telling it. We can also quickly check the mobile view. Okay, it's looking pretty good there. Um, and we can also look at the desktop view. Oops, am I on the same thing? Let me, not sure. Unselect this. Oh, this is my new training card page. But my new one updated actually did update it right to the new thing. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this component and go ahead and give it that exact same instruction I gave to this one.
Oh, I see. So yes, so the chat is the same for everything, right? It doesn't.
So two quick clarifications. When you click on a specific element, like a page or a component, the chat is specific to just that element, right? And this helps you do like fine grained controls. So I actually just clicked on this, whatever it is.
Okay. Yep.
When you click on the canvas or here in your projects, right? If I click on like this will be just the chat for the specific pilot efficiency. If I click on
Okay.
the project name, which right now you call drafts, you can rename this project to be
Yeah. Whatever it is.
aviation tracker, right?
Yep.
Um, um, Whenever you are on that, the chat is specific to the entire project. What's
Okay.
useful with that is like if you want to make changes that update across multiple things, or need to do a lot of things in parallel, that can kind of be a much faster way of doing it. For right now, what I'm going to do is because I moved this to a component, I'm going to go ahead and copy the instruction that we had from this component
Mm-hmm.
back to the page, right?
You had to fix that. Okay. I
To fix
got you.
that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this page, right? Um, or
That's
this
the
component. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
that's. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this component. Is that okay? Is it
Yeah.
link?
Yeah. No, if we are, yeah, that's what I needed to do. Um, and then knowing how to take that page whenever it's done, and use it and put it into the left nav bar dashboard type of
Yep,
thing.
yep. So we'll talk about linking next.
Cool. Because I
So
saw you can only link, you can only like when you do the forward slash or whatever, it goes to components, functions, data, assets, and all that stuff. It doesn't have, I don't think I saw pages. So that's why I was like, oh, I can only do components. I don't know.
We
That's
are adding, oops, I just got lost it somewhere. Let me just make sure I got it. Where did I drop it to on the page? Oops. Let me reload real quick. I think we called this aviation training page. All right, we're
hmm
here. I did
Yep.
drag. Okay, cool. I just lost the drag handle.
Yep.
So from here, there's a few things we can. So now the responsiveness is looking good. It's on a page, right?
Yep. Correct.
A few things are useful. So when we publish something, actually, before we go into linking, one last thing is, let me tell you how you actually update these components. So you have these components, they're being used. Where did you actually make the card for these training card?
Uh, um, I think I just like the actual cards I started it in the component and when the component of the page that you just made, I
Yeah.
put it in that chat and that's how I just said, hey, can I have a Netflix style um training whatever, and then it gave me this kind of like Netflix.
Okay. Let me go ahead and just help you. Let me look at the code real quick, see what you're doing. Okay, it just defined a training card inside your page, which totally works and can be worked. If you want to make it a separate component, right? Totally up to you, but I'll just show you this real quick just to kind of show
Yeah,
you
sure.
how this works.
Yeah.
Um, you can very quickly take one of these and say make component, right?
Yeah.
And what this will end up doing is giving you a componentized version of this, right? And it will also show you a quick preview of how the component should work when it's not being used. And so here, for example, it tried to grab this code. It seems like it thinks it's going to break in the helicopter or the pilot. I can actually go ahead and start to give it some more instructions. So, um, for example, from here, let me go ahead and say something a little bit more specific. I say this color background, two fields, icon, title. Um, Let me change out the icon or the title. Center the icon, the title vertically and horizontally. Cool. And so just to show you real quick, it will go ahead and keep updating your component, and it'll also show you a preview, right, of the component in different states with different arguments applied. And so why this is useful is you can get the UI exactly right for a component, and then you can use that component again and again and again. And you'll see here that because I said it's going to take in an icon and a title, you get icon and title as the arguments, and then your preview just shows that same component used multiple times. Here I'll call this like card. I'll also say also take in a link to visit when the card is pressed, right? Because that's another thing that you are going to want to pass to these cards in order for them to go ahead and send you to the right place. And now it will actually go ahead and have a link. And now finally, I can go ahead and update this and use this component on these pages, right? Um, you'll notice that it doesn't automatically update, right?
Yeah.
It shows card and everything else is here. You'll get those
It does
components that
update.
are not up to date. And when I click that, it will actually go ahead and update these cards. What did you use for the icons?
I use that. Those are images from uh
Fonts.
no, well, no, it's not Final. It's something else.
Let me quickly see what you did.
Let's
Uh,
see. It's from Flaticon.
Flaticon, cool.
Like it's an image. So
Okay. I think you should be able to go ahead and do this.
I think that was the yeah, that was the
Flash.
that was the hero. That's that hero flight at sunset or whatever. That's the hero image.
Nice. Let me go ahead and update this to the components, and then if you have actual icons, I can actually go ahead and pass them as well. So you'll see it takes in quiz. It's actually updating this dot component. Oops. I should not have done this quiz. Let me go back. Because it's
I
actually,
like that feature where you can go back.
yeah, exactly. So you can go back and restore this old one, and we actually might not use the component here if you already have your quizzes kind of done. But let's go back. Let's try and restore this one, which was the one that was actually up to date.
Yeah.
But just
Um,
showing you how you can actually make components.
yeah.
So you could actually go
Yeah.
ahead and make a component for a quiz card, for example, and have it have these different states and have it like pass in a progress or pass in a title and a description and whatever is going to change, right? And for the things that are not going to change, you are like which link this should pass to. And this will actually end up saving you a lot of time as you're making more complex apps because once you've defined how this looks, you don't have to keep redefining how it looks. You can just on the page say use this component and with these arguments, right?
Gotcha.
Cool. So that's components. We're here for now on your page. Let's talk about linking real quick. So this page, you have the nav bar where you want it to be linked to training.
Yes.
So I'll show you the first manual way to do this. In demo mode, you can go to training, and I see that there it's an unlinked thing. So I think it broke your code. But let me go ahead and quickly update it.
Oh, oh, it looks like the left nav bar kind of moved up a little bit. I don't know why that happened. See it?
Yeah, I think that's just something in the builder that training
Okay.
wise that's getting a little bit stuck. I'm unclear why training is not going to work. So real fast, let's actually go ahead and put these on this page on a route. So the reason we moved this to a page was so that we can publish and put this aviation training page on
Yep.
a route. So we can call this training. And now when we publish, when we actually go to your app, this is available at /training, right? Now you'll notice we were able to get there without sign in or sign up.
Yep.
A key way you stop that is you basically go to the page settings in the three dot menu, go
Hmm.
to settings, and then say require user account to view,
Yep.
uh, and then republish your page. And now if I try and go to this training page and I'm not logged in, it will go ahead and redirect me, right?
Yep.
Now
Gotcha.
that we actually have this route where it's called /training, we can actually go ahead and update our nav bar. So I'm not sure if, did you make the nav bar as a separate component or as
Yes.
a, okay.
Yeah, it's right there. It's just
Okay, sweet.
yeah.
Um, well, the nice thing about nav bars is now that you have this component and it's being used all the time, you actually might just want to be able to update it from the specific component chat, right? And one thing you could just say is like the training side item should always go to /training, right? And just give it the route that you
Got-
actually want it to go ahead and update.
Gotcha.
You can also do manual linking, which I'll show you in 1 second.
Yeah.
But let me go ahead and just have it build.
Man, this thing is amazing. This is blowing my mind.
Yeah, so that's awesome. I'm glad you're liking it. Yeah, there's tons you can do with it. So now just to test this, if I click this in demo mode in the builder, we give you a quick preview by
Yeah.
just hopping you to the page. So
Cool.
it looks like it actually did set that link, right?
Right.
Um, the manual way to do this is to go to select mode and go ahead and click on these icons. And so let me go to demo, move this to here. I'm go to select. Oops, I might need to click on this and then this select. And you'll see that as I select, it has different elements that are within the page, UI
Right.
elements. We can go ahead and just click on one of these, right?
Mhm.
And usually in the bottom of the chat, then when you click on it, you'll see link or make component. So you could actually go ahead and make components for your side items. I don't think you need to. It's doing a good job here.
Right.
Um, go ahead and click link. And then when you see link, you can choose a page to go ahead and link this to. In this case,
Okay.
I'll
Yep.
say training in this case, and it will update, and then you can save changes,
Save.
right?
Gotcha.
But
Gotcha. Yep.
we're already linked just by doing it through giving the route. So two ways to link, either just give it the route directly in the chat or manually go ahead and link it.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Uh,
Um, yeah.
and then
Uh,
I think you had one last question, which was, okay, now I want to do, uh, that's linking for the sidebar to the main training page. I think
yeah.
your last question was, okay, now I want to do training page, right, to helicopter page, right?
Yeah. And this is actually a component as well, I think.
No, this is a page.
Okay, all right, all right. I must have made that a page. Yeah. So going from like that, when you want to search or look at the basic helicopter controls and you click that, it goes to a video because I told it, hey, when clicking on each video card, it needs to go to its own video and with some stuff. And then it does that, but is that okay that it's not a separate page or a separate, like it does that, but it does it like within the same, like, there's no separate, if you just click on it, it just goes to it. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's totally fine. So it's just these constructs like additional pages and the rest are there if helpful.
Yeah.
Um, um, what's happening here when it actually goes ahead and clicks, and you click on one of these and it shows you it on the same page.
Hmm.
Um, all Create did was it basically just embedded this in the same like page code.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it basically came up with a way to kind of display the video and like change a little bit of styling to kind of show this.
Yeah.
This will work fine for, it's hard to say, but like for like, I don't know, if you're in the order of like 10 to 20 videos,
Right.
it's not that much code that you're actually adding here. If you start to make a really big library, like let's imagine you add like hundreds of videos, right?
Right.
Then you probably don't want to embed all 100 in the same page. You probably want to start to do what you're talking about, which is, hey, when I click on one of these, let me pass the information to the page about which video to pull. The page will show the data for it. But now I'm not replicating the UI a bunch of times of like, oh, here's how you show the UI for this page, or here's how you show the UI for this page. You're just, and you're not scaling it with the amount of data you actually have on the page. You're basically just making it as you like.
Gotcha. And then how to get these pages on the left side nav bar, like within that page. How to put a
Yes.
page within a page.
So a page within a page, you want
Right.
to do,
Yeah. So when you go to training
yeah.
on that tab, it should go to a page. It should go to that. Oh, so we did it to an actual page. I see. I see.
Did it to a page. So one thing you can do is you could if you want the nav bar everywhere, you could just tell the project level chat, put the nav bar on all pages, right? And that way when you are loading to like a different page, you'll basically have a nav bar on all the pages.
Okay. So I just have to tell it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, because that and then like that back to training dashboard, I don't know how to route that to the training tab of the dashboard in the like of the left side nav and stuff like that.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and figure out let's go ahead and publish that part of it, right? So I actually just updated your overall efficiency tracker to use the latest version of the component that goes to slash training.
Okay.
Uh, I think there's another step we need to do, which is here for this airplane and helicopter, you need to turn this into a specific page, right?
Yes.
Here, I'm going to go ahead and say, first, I'm going to go ahead and make sure I know what pages these are. So helicopter training, I'm actually going to go ahead and include at slash training slash, oops. Uh, Actually, I'll use helicopter training, right? That's it. And then airplane training. Have you built airplane training yet or no?
No.
Okay, cool. So I will say link the helicopter card to slash helicopter training. And this should just update it.
Yeah.
Um, and then remember, this route is just at slash training, right?
Yeah.
So for the back button, you can do it the same way that we've done everything else. You can go back to select mode, click on this element, click on this element, right, which is the back. And actually, let's see if we can get the div around it. Uh, let's click here. This is the div
That-
around it. I could link
that-
it and
yeah.
I could say add a link back to training, which is the overall training pages, and save it. I could have also just told it like the back to
The
training
dashboard should go to
slash training.
flash training. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's what was mixing me up because I was trying to do it, I think, within the same like I wanted to not really I wanted to but I thought it should like look have the nav bar fixed on all pages so that it looks like they're in still in a software and like in their dashboard. So like if they go back to that training page on the training page, not that one but the other one, it's now the training page like for that, it's just gonna be blank. Like it well if they click it, it's gonna go to their stuff, but all the other things like the flight calendar, like they're all built into to the actual it looks like a software,
Yeah.
right?
So you can do this. Although it's funny that you mentioned this. Now that you say this, I would tell you to do this with components again, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, where what would actually happen is you would just tell the chat, hey, when I click on you wouldn't do links the way we're doing, like at routes, like slash routes. Instead, you just use components and you build basically like the training page component, as you mentioned. And then you tell create, hey, when you click on training, show the X component in the main view, right?
Right.
And that would also work where you start to like basically use components as a way to do page. So there's multiple ways to do things, but it really
Right.
depends upon, do you want there to be a dedicated route for the page?
Right. And that's what I had. That's how I had it, but I didn't. I was doing the responsiveness. I was like, well, because when you clicked on training right there, it went to that training, that one that we had a component, but we made a page. That's what I told. I said, hey, when you click on training, it should go to the aviation, and then I put the forward slash component in there, and then it worked. So it stayed. They stayed in that software type of view where the nav bar is fixed always, just like this. When you go to home or my flight calendar, it just stays there, and you always see the nav bar.
Is that how you'd rather do it? Because if so, we can quickly change it back if you'd like.
Oh, I mean, I'm learning and I can do it.
Okay.
But I mean, sure, if we can get the responsiveness to work as well with that, yeah, sure. You know, just so that they can look at the nav bar and like click through, hey, I want to go to training, and then I want to go to they don't have to click back so many times. The nav bar will just be there where they can just go to their flight calendar or weather or something like that, you know.
Okay. Well, it's pretty fast to change back. So here, I'm
I
gonna
would
just
imagine.
grab all the code, right? Go ahead and make a new component. Say make a component for this page. Great. We'll go ahead and use, sorry about that. I think I,
No, no, you're fine. I actually learned a lot just by you flipping them back and forth. Like this is helpful. It's
yeah,
very
so I can go ahead and grab a component while that's building. I will go ahead and rename this component and say, this is the aviation training page. The thing we're going to lose by doing this, heads up, is we're not going to be able to route to slash training or directly to slash training. But we can fix some things with that through the overall chat. I'll show you how we can do this
okay.
real quickly.
Cool.
So um, now what we'll do is we'll actually go to our overall pilot page, which is I think our home page, right? Our main
Hmm.
page, right?
Yep.
And we're going to say when. And actually, I think I updated the component underlying here, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's the
uh,
nav bar. Yep.
yep. Instead of actually putting, so here's what's going to happen. You'll see that like this component code is completely isolated and gone from everything. Um, and you'll track the active tab, right? And like what the actual active tab is. And so I'll say instead, like don't link to training, just change the active tab, right? Um, and I'll remove the direct link to the route page from here. And now when I'm actually on this page, I'll go ahead and say, and I think this is saying it's out of date because I need to update the nav bar.
Hmm.
And I'll say when the user hits training, load the, and now my components, I'll actually go ahead and look for the component I just created. Where is that?
Yes. Sometimes it takes a little bit. I think I had to refresh or something for it to show up, but it did work after I refreshed it.
Let me try and see. And the year hits training. Great. Load the aviation training page in the main window, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think this should be okay. So let's go and try it. Now we're gonna hit training. Oops, I think
Oh,
I'm still being taken to my
it's-
old page.
yeah, it's
I
still
probably
not.
didn't update my component. So this is important. I had the old version of the component, the soul trace. I need to hit update component, right? Um, and now it should update and we'll start and build. Oh, sorry, let's go select. Oh, just make sure it's streaming right. Yep. All right. And then while this is actually happening, let's go ahead and start to work on a few other pieces here. So the one thing we'll have to do is like, would you like the nav bar to also be on this helicopter training page?
Um, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if you can make it and make it look good or something like that, then sure.
Yeah, I think the other way to do this would then just be to also turn this into a component
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
start to like really build components down, um, um, which can help. Um,
It's like the main thing I wanted was like for it to be a kind of like a software, not like a website, you
yep,
know? For they can log in to their software right here, and that's just their page on the side. The left nav bar stays, and they can navigate through the software type of thing, and still stay in that window. That was I guess that's the overall goal now. I didn't know because I didn't know better on how to build it, but
yep. Okay. I mean, I think we can do this. Let's just go and verify this is okay. Yep. And this is actually loading this the right way. But let's just make sure that we preview it. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and publish this and view live. Do you mind if I log in?
I don't.
Cool. Training. All right. So it's just like the builder preview that's showing it a little bit messed up. But it seems to be working. Now the problem we're gonna have is here we told it to link to helicopter training, so it's
Correct.
all full page, which I honestly looks pretty nice. But you can also, if we go back, it's gonna go to slash training because that's what we told it before. So you're completely like off. Instead, we're gonna go ahead and explain this all as components. I'm actually gonna go ahead and try and do this. This might be a little hero mode, but I'm gonna try and do this all from the project top level and see if this makes sense. But let me kind of explain this real quick to it.
Sure.
So I want to change the behavior here from pilot efficiency tracker. When the user hits training in the sidebar, I want it to load the aviation training page component in the main view. This works today. Now, when the user hits helicopter in the um, aviation training page, I want to load the content from, what's this page called?
I think we named it to,
Helicopter training video library.
yeah.
Helicopter training video library on the page. Back button on that should now go back to aviation training page.
Hmm.
Here's the thing though. Right now, uh, helicopter video library is a page, so I'd rather have it be a component that just loads, so that the sidebar stays around through all of this from pilot efficiency tracker. Sorry, the reason this prompt is so long is because I'm actually going to try to have create save me a lot of work, which is
Yeah.
create can actually see across all these things and can create
Okay.
new components as well. And so if as long as I'm very specific, create should be able to just look at the code from here, make it a new component, pull the right things in. But let's go ahead and try it
That's crazy.
and see. And it should just save me a lot of time.
I understand.
So now it's actually what you're saying is like it basically is doing this in two steps.
Yeah.
First it's saying let's convert this into a component, right? And then it's saying let's
Let
go
me,
ahead and update the efficiency tracker page with that component. Um,
dang. Yeah, that saves you a lot of work.
Saved me a lot of work. Copy and pasting. We'll see. You have to be a little specific on how you describe these things, but
Yeah.
see. Let me just make sure that it's
So what is the food navigation? Oh, so it did one first before the other?
yeah. So you'll notice the changes. I mean, the changes for changing the library are pretty easy.
Yeah.
Or changing the routing is pretty easy. And I think it worked because it does seem to be doing the right, like it does load something else here. It's just not done
And
with this.
and stays there. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then the question is just what did it do here? And now let's go ahead and go training helicopter. Okay, that's interesting. Why did it make this a component? Let me see. Uh, oops. I think it,
Oh, it didn't look like it like wrote any code there. Huh.
yeah.
And sometimes I do refresh and it did work. I don't know if it's gonna do that here, but
Okay, it did actually do this. Uh, um, oops. Where did I? All right. The magic moment is, did it actually work in demo? All right. So we're having some issues. So let's just go ahead and talk to it. If it doesn't work, I can always do it a little manually. So,
oh, yeah, yeah. That's
uh,
what I did. I was like, oh well, it didn't work. Let me try again, you know.
yeah, this is still working great. All right. You know what? I'm gonna just might just bail out. Let's see. Oh, this is actually using the right component. So actually, you know what? I think we're just one step away from it working. We just
Hmm.
go ahead and say, good, it did the migration to a component, except when I click on helicopter, I'm not seeing it load in the main view. I'm seeing a blank page. And you check that the loading is hooked up right in pilot efficiency tracker.
Yeah, and sometimes it tells me like I did it and I'm like, oh, that's great. And then it didn't do it. So I have to try it again. And then like on the second, third time, it eventually worked. So
Yeah, we're getting trying to make it a little more reliable. Sometimes it overthinks
yeah.
like it did. Um, all right. Wow. Seems pretty good. Except for, now it's using this as a component, so it's passing in all the data from here, right?
Yeah. And
In these
and
control.
it's skinnier too because of the nav bar. Because it's not using the whole thing, the whole width because the
Yeah,
nav. Yeah.
exactly. So it's
Okay.
updated with skinny wise, yeah. So like to update this part where like this now actually does load the right things, you have two options. So like you always have options and components. You can either pass the data up from above and then all your data kind of lives here. So you could tell it about like here's all the data for the helicopter things and it just loads all this whole page.
Hmm.
Or you can always bake it into the component, right? So you'll see here like this is now a component. And when I go to this component, um, you'll see that it's actually using helicopter video training library. Um, Actually, it does have these things baked in. Um, yeah, it's starting to basically pull. It might have made a separate component for this actual core piece. That's actually baked into the underlying page. Let me just
Hmm.
quickly see how it did this one. Um, which is fine and works, but like it basically made a component inside of here, right? Helicopter training library. No, it didn't actually set video on back. So it did it. It's referring to the right thing. It's just not passing in all of the arguments, or the way that this got written doesn't have all of the arguments in it. So you can update this one to
Ah,
have all the arguments or all the videos in, and it should just update it. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, like the heading and the flight training series and all the headings and
Yeah.
titles.
You can tell it to go ahead and do this. And if you need, you can always go ahead and grab the code from this, right?
Yeah.
So, and just pass back into create and say, here's the, um, um,
Yeah.
so I can actually go ahead and let me just go ahead and actually show this training library because you already have all this stuff, right? Um, Let me just go ahead and tell the top level project, and say, um, great, the connection is now working. When I view the library, it doesn't have all the lessons. Here's the code for it when it had all the right lessons. Great.
Man, you really just talk to this thing like it's plain like English. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's what I do. And the key is to be like pretty specific,
Very
right? So
specific.
like
Yeah.
be specific. So like the it has like the context of what the chat has is it has your history. It
Yeah.
also has it can see all the current code and it can see the history of code, right? But that's still a lot of information
Right.
to take into account. So if you think about it, if you just told like if you gave me all that info and you said, "Hey, fix it, it's not working."
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like a lot to take in versus if you are like pretty specific and you say like, oh no, like when I click on the training video, I want it to um do this, or I want it to like do that or load this or move this page to a component and then use these like so as you like start to get
Right.
that specific, it can take all that context and it can actually figure out what to do.
Yeah.
But that's like pretty much what I how I kind of prompt it to get it right.
Right. Right. And then I think the other thing I think the last thing was like how to because the sign up, I saw that y'all don't have the an ability to create a custom sign up page or something. It has to be those for now, because it's on the roadmap. But how to get the sign up because I have a log out button down there, and we'll get to that. But it doesn't do anything. It's just there. So
Um, how to get what where? The sign up?
yeah, like the sign out, like the to log out of the software.
Yeah, so the quick way to do that, um,
I think it's over to the right.
oh, it's always to the right of where I'm loading this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Um,
I think it should have worked. Uh,
oh, I don't think it, I'm curious why it didn't. Oh, I might need to update this. Oops. Sorry, I might need to update the component. I think it
Ah,
actually, which is out of date. So let me go ahead and update this component, and I think that will work. In the interim, let me go ahead and try to do logout. So for now, we have logout on a separate page.
mhm.
That's because we actually have these things in routes. Where we have this is on any page. If you actually go to, actually, let me go ahead and go to the logout page in select mode. Um, So real quick, we actually have these pages that are just automatically created with the route.
Yeah.
And you can basically tell it to now link the logout so to the right route. So you can say, I'm just gonna use the overall project context. Link, or actually, I think you actually have this logout button uh
In the nav bar, yeah.
in the component. Yeah. So you should say, I'll go to the nav bar and say link the logout to /account/logout. And that should just basically update the button and how it's clicked to link to the right route for the page.
Hmm.
And then that'll show you today this logout. We're working pretty soon on a component that can just automatically log you out.
Okay. So they don't have to click it twice, like log out and then sign out.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Cool,
Yeah.
cool, cool.
Okay. Cool. Anything else while we are on the call? Let me just make sure there's training, helicopter videos. Now we're
No,
getting those helicopter videos in, and it
there's
actually
a lesson.
put us in. Yeah. So we had to update it a couple times to like tell it, hey, so we did that. Just to recap the steps there, how we did that. We wanted to convert a page to a component. We did it from the top level group chat so that it has full context. And we said, hey, turn into a component, then use that component. And then we had to also kind of tell it a couple times, hey, use this old code for the component. And now it's actually doing a good job of like replicating this
Yeah.
in this page. And you could start to include things like this is good, but include it back to training dashboard on the helicopter training component that when tapped can take you back to the training component of the main dashboard, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
we're telling this, it should just do the right things to update the component arguments. Um, um,
And and then I'm guessing when you want to put in a video, you just tell it like, hey, basic helicopter controls, here's the video for it. And do you have to upload an asset for it?
Um, you can upload a video asset for it to just play the video. You can also just paste the video into the chat and then tell it like here's the URL for it all the time. Both techniques work.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Um,
That's when I'm ready to put actual video content in there to
yeah.
play. Yeah.
The other way to do this is to also build yourself your own tool, like your own database tool, right? Basically like your own backend library tool,
Yeah.
which allows you to manually configure like the rows and fields and say, hey, okay, like it has maybe an upload form where you can upload a video, you can change like the title, change the stuff, and then it saves it all to a database. And then on this other page, you basically just say pull the records right from
Oh,
that database. And now you have two sides of the house. You've got your own side, which is like you building your own tools, and then
yeah.
like your own content management system in some ways. And then you've also
Yeah.
got an app that lets you go ahead and build that.
Yeah. That's like when I use CMS on Webflow.
Exactly. You can just build your own CMSs in Create
Yeah.
very easily.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. So that finished. So that should have done it. Did it add a back button? This will add a back button that works within the dashboard navigation flow. Okay. It might not have added that back button unless it's up there somewhere.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, might need to. Let's go ahead and let me go back to the top. Training helicopter. Okay. Weird. Let me go ahead and take a screenshot. Say, I'm not seeing a back button. I want it to look something like this after I go to the helicopter page. Uh, I can
Yeah,
see if it actually gets it.
I think that was. I think that was it, really. Just to get it to a point where I can have users. So I don't, since I enabled user accounts, I don't have to connect Firebase or anything like that for user account. Like that's all done. It's all baked in with Create.
Yeah, so real quick, user accounts. So you have these pages that are created for you for the sign out, sign up, sign in.
Hmm.
You can put any page behind user accounts. So actually, I'll go ahead and click on the pilot efficiency tracker and go to settings. And actually, you've already set it to be
Mm.
required account
Yeah,
to. It gives you these routes that you can route to, and then it also gives you this users database,
right. I
which
think I did
actually
one.
has just a few fields. You can modify this user's database by like giving, your own instructions, but you can actually go ahead and do email. It handles passwords and the rest of it for you. And it should be enough to get started with. We're gonna start making more changes to it to make it more customizable than this.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I like. I just wanted to get to a point where I can actually have users sign in, sign out, and navigate through their training. Use the flight calendar. Use the training as go to a weather tab that has like their home airport, like I was saying, and then update their pilot profile with their latest license that they got, commercial, private, whatever, and do that, and then actually have a working kind of MVP of something that actually works, and I can say, hey, I created this, and I'm just going to build on it from there, kind of like you're doing with Create. So.
Yep. And do you have how are you getting the weather today for your users?
Um, I think I don't have an API for any weather. I think I just told it because I had a weather tab up there and I said, hey, can you grab the weather winds and forecasts and stuff from I think ForeFlight or something else. I just told it and it worked and I told it how to do it, but I don't know if I need to use an API or not.
Do you know of a good pilot weather? I'm imagining weather is a little bit more similar to
Um,
an
N
API.
O NOAA in yeah, in
The
NOAA weather, yeah, National Ocean, yeah. I don't know if they even have, yeah.
national weather. Let me see.
Yeah,
Uh,
so that should get it like
specification. Okay, weather.gov. Where do I get an API key for this?
I have no idea. That's what I didn't know. That's what I had to because I don't use APIs too much. So
Weather.gov API key. Let's see. API weather service. Does it have a
I don't even know if it has an API key. And you can get it from yeah, I think there's another one that you can use too, but I don't know what that one was. Uh Aviation weather.
It just does weather.gov. It just does a user agent. Okay, cool. So here, I'll show you really quick how you can actually build this and create. And let's just build it separate from the project. So to build, where are we? Okay, to build API connections that are external to create, you want to create a new function. So here, and here I'm just going to tell it the details. Make me a function that grabs from the weather.gov API. Let me enter a city and be able to find the weather for that city. Um, there's not much, but sometimes you can paste in the documentation, right? So
Yeah.
these specs. And if you give it more hints, it will probably be better.
So
Uh,
it's really airports that we're going to be using, like airport identifiers, like KLFT is our home city of Lafayette, Louisiana. So it'd be like, hey, can you get the weather for us at KLFT and show us, the winds and the ceilings and all that stuff because it's aviation related, right? But yeah, like the airport identifier code or whatever, everyone starts with a K, you know.
you know what SFOs is?
I think it's KSFO. I'm pretty sure.
taking an airport code like, so then I explain what's gonna work. Taking an airport code like KSFO, translate it to right
Yep.
PAL,
Sure.
grab the right weather for pilots like wind,
Yeah.
rain,
Temperature, stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah.
temperature, cool. And then, oops, let me say, here are the docs, which can help. Here are the docs I found for weather.gov API. I'll go ahead and paste in. This is their, that was the main page. And then this is the, oh, I actually don't even know if their specification is here. We'll see if that just works on its own. Okay, and send.
Hmm.
And create will basically just come up with a function to go ahead and do this. And I'll show you
That's crazy.
why this is powerful or cool. And so sometimes if it's like something well known like the NOAA,
Hmm.
Create will just probably guess the right code for it because it has enough examples to go do that.
Yeah.
Here's like the NOAA API, right? Create will generate you just a like a quick schematic to go look quickly on what it's actually doing. Under the hood, it's just writing code for this.
Hmm.
Writing code for this. Let me just refresh real quick to make sure that it's not something with the race kitchen. Yep. So it's writing code. Um, and you know, it went ahead and like guessed the code for grabbing it from the API.
Yeah.
You can actually test these functions independently. So you can run a quick test
Oh,
and
wow.
from the test runner. And so here you can say SFO run function. And this will start to built in and it'll say unable to fetch weather data, right? I can go ahead and copy this error, right? So KSSO, we can just check to see maybe it's this input.
Yeah.
Uh,
San Francisco International. Yeah.
oh, that worked, KSSO. And I got a JSON back with wind direction, speed, whatever it
E.
is, right?
Gotcha.
What's kind of cool is like functions just work by describing the input and the outputs. So once you kind of test your function, right? If you run the tests, like if I look at my previous test, I got this, I got these outputs. You could
Mhm.
add additional outputs here. But what's really powerful is now, you know, your app can basically understand these functions, inputs and outputs. And so now
Mhm.
I'm going to go to my like pilot efficiency dashboard and I'll say, when I go to the weather tab, um, use, and then I'll just use my
A
function,
function. Yep.
right? Weather retriever, to show a UI that, um, one lets the user enter an airport, two grabs the weather, three
That's crazy.
displays the live weather with some nice UI icons.
And I gave it like early on, I gave it like the some colors from a color palette and things like that. That's why, and I with every prompt, I'm like, hey, keep in mind the brand guidelines for the color and all that stuff. So that's why it's all those colors in there. But that is neat, man. That see, I didn't know how to create functions and I didn't know what functions were and stuff like that, you know, in
Yeah.
in this dashboard.
Yeah, so they're really powerful. So because like basically allows you to extend and create arbitrarily. Like we have a lot of built-in integrations, you know, that
Right.
already
Yep.
in function calls. These are useful, and we're going to keep adding just tons and tons more. But with functions, you should be able to update like anything to any other API you want. So in your pilot case, you know, there might be some pilot specific APIs that have better data than what we have with our built-in weather.
Sure.
And so now just
Dang,
to
yeah.
test this in demo mode, it's like KSFO. Got weather. Oops. All right. Um, I'm
Hey,
running
sometimes it fixes it. And sometimes I press fix it and it's like, oh, I fixed it. I'm like, dang, that's pretty
nice.
smart.
Yeah, so we can go into an issue where when I search it, search a airport, it crashes. I can tell it this as well. All
I
right.
guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Go ahead and do a bunch of updates to um my code.
That is that is wild.
Um so yeah, so what happened there was sometimes it shows like fix in generated code. What happened
Right.
there was I was running it demoed, and then the hint was like all I did is I added a function, and then I
Mhm.
basically tried it out and it broke. And so it
Yeah.
told me that something's wrong with the way we're hooking it up to the UI. Like I probably typed in something unexpected, it didn't get that, and then went in.
Right.
I just told create, hey, that's where it crashed, and it should be able to quickly like update and look at the code for this, and then update so that this time it handles errors or tells me something's wrong in the UI without crashing the entire app.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and ideally, I
That's
just want it to be the final sign off of like a good session, but ideally
yeah.
after, oops, let's see what's wrong here. Um, what's going on? Come on.
And I can work the second time that you put in the test function, but I don't know.
Yeah, that time I didn't have KS. I do all of them start with K?
Yeah. KLFT, I see right now it's KSFO is San Francisco International. Yeah.
Okay, so you can also do this too, like add some handling, right? So that if the user puts in the common user visible codes like SFO, etc., it always translates it to KSFO or what the API expects.
Yeah. Except for like international stuff, but
Yeah, and you might have to extend it to actually do some interesting with international. But the beneficial part is you can test these functions independently in your own environment, and then make sure it's working here, right?
hmm
And so now we'll see JFK. Hopefully it doesn't crash. Um, oh, got my wind speed, right? Whatever else I
Yeah.
wanted.
Yeah.
Um, so it's great. So now when I go to my app, oops, oops. I went to log out by mistake. So actually, by the way, that log out button is now hooked up that we did
Oh
before.
yeah.
Um, let's just quickly go to where was this pilot efficiency tracker?
Yeah.
Why is this? Man, why are we in broken code state? Hmm. Is there anything? Ah, okay.
Mhm.
This is annoying. This code is getting kind of long. So one thing that just happened that I kind of noticed by just picking up the code track is I just overrid it with just the weather code.
Ah,
And so of course it can't display. Um, you just did the weather code. Oops. You only output the weather code, which broke the app. Instead, pilot efficiency tracker should be the full dashboard. When I tap the weather page, then show the weather code.
mm. So it was just trying to, it wasn't keeping it wasn't keeping the dashboard there.
Wasn't keeping the dashboard, and so now your dashboard's like, I don't know how to load this weather code on its own.
Yeah.
A little lazy with that. With like, we're working on basically making it so it never gets lazy and always keeps things. But as projects get longer, like this is the one downside of like putting everything
Right.
in one big dashboard
Yeah.
is as it starts to get bigger, it starts to forget some details sometimes.
This is great, man. This is nuts.
Cool. So now we're gonna do J, or actually, now let's actually just see if I might have been a little too ambitious. Okay, this one is
Oh,
gonna tell me why JFK,
yeah.
failed to
Oh,
fetch.
well, at least it's not crashing.
It's not crashing. Um, failed to fetch, but I know that
That specific function worked. Yeah.
working.
Yeah.
JFK, what's wrong? When
That's crazy. Man, that's wild. So the integrations are like functions, but we didn't build that. Like we can build our own functions just like an integration, just like they built their own stuff and they let us use their integration.
That's right. So yeah, with the integrations, we basically wrapped them with a
Okay.
lot of. But you can build almost all of our integrations on your own, or you can actually go ahead and build additional things. And so it's helpful for this, where like we'll eventually get to pilot weather codes and stuff. But in the meantime,
Right.
the best way is to actually have to build your own functions for this.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. That's awesome.
All right. I really just wanted to get to the end so we can have the magic.
Well, I'm sure I can figure out, I think, but I can give it some more prompts in there. And but yeah, I mean we got pretty far. I don't
Yeah.
know. Was that the right was that the right page? 'Cause I saw that training went back to that. I don't know why I did
Yeah,
that.
this training one we might need to go update again and just say, hey, go back to the aviation training and just reference the component and then
Right.
explain what we actually want in this component.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well,
Okay.
um, but yeah, we're starting to hit the large project
Yeah,
uh limits. You're seeing it starting to forget some details and the rest of it as it's starting to all put it all in this, but
nice.
good to work.
Cool.
All right, hopefully that helped you figure out
That
some of the concepts and create and build more.
that
Uh,
helped a bunch.
Do you mind if I post this video publicly as just an example of a bunch of different things?
I do not mind at all.
Awesome. And what's your Derek Gaspard and
Yep.
what's the app that people should be looking out for as you start to get ready?
I haven't picked out a name yet. I think it might be Pilot Pulse.
Pilot
Like
Pulse.
Pulse, like Pulse, Pilot Pulse. I'm not sure yet though. I don't know.
Amazing. We will awesome. I'm actually going to put this as a quick tip on our docs page and as a guide and I'll kind of list out some of the key concepts we covered here, and then I will share it out. If anyone has any questions about how to just do your own app, or if you want to do your own training video, where we jump into your project, help you get it working, and then post it as a training video for others to learn from, feel free to reach out to me. So
Awesome.
great. Thanks, Derek. Let me know if you have any other questions.
All right, Drew. Thanks, man.
Thanks. Bye.
All right, see you.